G'day, I'm Andrew Marshall with the Northern Australia Climate Program at the University of Southern Queensland. Back again for a short summary of the Bureau of Meteorology's climate outlook for the northern half of Western Australia for the weeks and months ahead, issued in the few days leading up to the 21st of November 2025. So we'll take a look at these rainfall outlooks to begin with, starting with the outlook scenarios here. And these are the rainfall totals that have a 75% chance of occurring for your region. So looking ahead to the 3 months from December to February, we're seeing a 75% chance of around 25 to 50 millimetres for eastern parts of the Gascoyne, around 50 to 100 millimetres for large parts of the Pilbara, around 100 to 200 millimetres for southern parts of the Kimberley, and around 300 to 400 millimetres or more for northern Kimberley regions. And you can use this magnifying glass feature here to drill deeper into the forecast, of course, where you can specify your location of interest to break the forecast down into the chance of different rainfall amounts occurring. And this gives you an idea of how conditions are likely to be compared to the historical median. So your local climate mate will of course be happy to go through this with you in more detail. Now taking a quick look at the Bureau's northern rainfall totals since the 1st of September, and the green areas here indicate where more than 50 millimetres of rain has fallen, and this is about the amount of rainfall required to stimulate plant growth. All right, now let's look at the temperatures, and the differences from average for maximum temperature show warmer conditions of around 1 degree above average for far western parts of Western Australia, and some slightly cooler conditions out east for the 2 weeks from the 25th of November to the 8th of December. And here the average is calculated over the 1981 to 2018 period for this time of year. Now minimum temperature looks somewhat similar for Western Australia. And moving on to the chance of extremes map for the 3 months from December to February, we're seeing an elevated chance of unusually warm days and nights across almost all of the state. And by unusually warm, we mean the highest 20% of historical temperature records for this time of year based on the 1981 to 2018 period. Now, just remember, of course, these long-range forecasts for rainfall and temperature do provide the best guidance for local climate, so that is our focus. These forecasts do consider all ocean and atmosphere conditions that affect seasonal weather and climate, but if you are interested in some of the climate indicators that can influence the forecasts, we will have a quick look at these now. And the El Niño Southern Oscillation here remains neutral, but there are signs La Nina may be developing. Now, the ocean and atmosphere have been showing signs of this possible La Nina development since September, so we'll keep a close eye on this in the coming weeks. Now, the Indian Ocean Dipole, or the IOD, remains in a negative phase, and the Bureau's model predicts that the negative IOD will weaken during November with a return to neutral in December. And this is consistent with most international models assessed and also with the typical life cycle of the IOD. Now, the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO, is now in the Eastern Pacific region where it remains active as it continues eastward with moderate strength in phases 8 and 1, as you can see here. Now, these are the dry phases of the MJO for Australia, so the MJO may be contributing to the outlook for below median rainfall over parts of the country in December. And the timing of the MJO may also influence the timing for the Australian monsoon onset in the next couple of months, so we'll be keeping a close eye on this as well. Now, the Southern Annular Mode, or the SAM, has dipped into its negative phase recently. It's worth noting that we saw the stratosphere warm over Antarctica in September and early October, which typically influences a negative SAM through spring and into early summer. So the Bureau's SAM forecast here is tending negative in December, though within the neutral range. And the sea surface temperature outlook here is also likely to be influencing the forecast for Australia. This has shown warmer than average waters around most of Australia, and this is likely to continue in December through February, particularly to the east of the continent. Now, turning to the pasture growth from long paddock for the 3 months from November to January, we're expecting to see pasture growth across most northern areas, as shown here, in response to the expected rainfall in the months ahead. And finally, looking at the Cattle Comfort Index prototype forecast at nappi.org.au, Index values between 30 and 35 degrees represent moderate stress to cattle. Values between 35 and 40 degrees represent severe stress, and values above 40 degrees are considered extreme. And we're expecting varying heat stress conditions over Northern Australia, with some extreme conditions over broad areas to be aware of in the days ahead. Okay, so as always, for more information and updates, please visit the Bureau's climate pages at bom.gov.au/climate. If you have any questions about recent conditions or the use of weather and climate forecasts, please reach out to your local climate mate, and you can read more about the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacp.org.au. See you next month.